If you want to start a mahjong club because you want to play mahjong, you're not going to play mahjong, mate. You're not going to play a whole Four Winds for like 2 years. You're barely going to get through one wind a month. Like, I'm telling you now, if you want to play more mahjong, don't start a club.
This is the Between Rounds podcast, where we go behind the tiles to meet the real people building Mahjong communities. I'm Jacob with Red Eye Mahjong, and I've been really looking forward to this conversation. My guest today is someone who looked at the Mahjong organizing world and thought, why don't we all know each other? And then actually did something about it. He built a Discord server that brought together club organizers from around the globe, created a directory so players can find communities wherever they travel, and coordinated Mooncakes Mahjong, a festival that united over 30 clubs across 24 time zones. He's taught over 200 people how to play, co-founded clubs on 2 continents, and will be the first to tell you that he hates receiving compliments. The co-founder of Four Winds Mahjong Club in London and Toronto, Connor Wan. We get into the unglamorous truth about what happens when you actually start a club, why Connor says the most rewarding time of year is when he's not running events, and the moment a kid at a mahjong table got dragged away so fast that there was a Looney Tunes cloud of smoke left behind. All right, now, without further ado, welcome to the podcast. When did you start playing mahjong, and then when did you decide, hey, I want to start doing this with other people?
To be honest, I'm pretty new to mahjong, I guess. I only really learned probably 2018. I can't even remember how it came about. It was kind of just one Christmas. I decided to ask my parents, "How do you play this game?" Because I've seen it, in films, and I know some family used to play it back in the day, but I never grew up with kind of uncles and aunties playing it in the back room or nothing. So it was just kind of one random bored Christmas, and I learned with my sister. And then we were bad, we weren't good. And my parents, they like to gamble, not loads of money, but 5 pence pieces per point or whatever. And then post COVID in 2021, a community center, which I was it was called the Hackney Chinese Community Center back in the day. Now it's called the ESCA Community Center. They started doing mahjong lessons, and I thought, oh, I will go and train up and get better, because I don't play with anyone and I need to practice. And I went there, and then I kind of start to realize that, oh, I actually know a lot of this already. So I ended up just stepping back and letting other people learn, and then they would ask help on what move to do, and then I would help them there. And then the 2 people who were running it, Fung and Monica, they asked if I would want to help teach TA, I guess. And it kind of snowballed from there. It was pretty organic. It wasn't we didn't set off to start a club or nothing, or play with others. It was kind of just stroll along to this little thing and see what it is.
That's awesome. That pretty much is kind of how it started for me too. I didn't really have people playing it in the backgrounds at family events. I mean, it was there. I'd seen people play it. I played it a couple times before, but it wasn't anything that I was oh my God, yes, I want to start my own club. It just all happened pretty organically. Oh, but for you, right? You started in where in Britain?
Yeah, in
Where
London.
at? In London. You
Yeah.
started in London, moved to Toronto. So how has that been going from one to the other, and how is the differences?
I mean, just culturally, Canadians and Brits are very different. So, because, they're community groups, you kind of have to deal with different challenges. But it's a very interesting, call to action, of having these diaspora, mostly Chinese, but, it's mostly any East Asian, but majority Chinese kind of wanted to connect with something that's very heritage Chinese, and it's there's no doubt about it, but they don't know where to start. And I think having a very like necessity. What's it like that Chinese diaspora necessity to connect, but having issues with your parents because they are kind of stubborn to try, or children parent relationships are always kind of rough and ready, especially with immigrant ones. So finding other people within that same situation, with a similar type of background, growing up and whatever, that coming togetherness of both sides of the pond really kind of propelled both clubs forward, I would say. And it's a realization that hunger is there for a third space that have similar values.
And what do you love about mahjong?
I mean, I enjoy that once you learn how to play, once you can do it without really concentrating too much, it's a really nice social thing. You need to sit down with three other people to play, and if they're your mates, you can spend that time catching up as well as playing a game. I would say it's like very similar to playing, cards or a board game. It's a way to connect with people through common activity without, it being too crazy, too competitive. Because I don't play in tournaments. I don't gamble. I just kind of play for the social aspect of it.
Yeah. And so, what was your first event like? I know you started at the cultural center and you kind of ended up being adopted as a coach, a teacher. But for you, what was your first event that you were like mainly on point of, and how did it go?
Um, I think the first big event was actually just before I left for Canada. So kind of like the last thing I did for the London club. Um, it was a big, like, fundraising uh, mahjong night. It was called In the Mood for Mahjong, and it was very like the aesthetic taken from the Wong film In the Mood for Love, where it's like that 50s, 30s to 50s jazz speakeasy thing. Given people a chance to dress up because you don't have many opportunities, especially as a young person, to dress up, and a lot of the women and femme people there had a churn sam or like a tea pile in the back of their closet that collects dust. Most Chinese people do, and they never wear it to anything. And when we were kind of like testing the waters before, we were going around like, would you guys like something that's a bit more fancy and a bit more posh that you can kind of dress up for? All of them were like, yes, please. I have this dress in the back of my cup. I'd never touch it because there's never an opportunity to. And it was great. We have amazing friends and people part of the community, that work in like art department and films and theater. So they helped us decorate the place, and we changed this one community center into like a jazz club with draped fabric and all these amazing things and DJs, and people were loving it, and everyone stuck to the suggestion and really went for it in the outfits. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for these events, how do you balance like people who already know how to play, people who don't know how to play, and how do you onboard newbies?
I mean, so for that event specifically, we kind of made it a point that you kind of have to know how to play because
Mm.
we weren't teaching as a volunteer, group. But for one-off pop-up events, we usually say come to the weekly club, beforehand to learn, so you're not coming in blind. And if there are teaching points, we kind of limit it to like, the first 2 hours, come early and you can learn. And then from then on, it's like free play or kind of help guide a friend type thing. Um, and it's a nice community. No one is too tense, even with ticketed events. People kind of understand like, it's a communal thing, so there's no need to be really aggy about, playing with beginners or whatever. So that's kind of lucky in that situation.
So, moving from London to Toronto, you ended up starting another club. And I know there's not really a lot of resources out there on the internet for like how to start a club or like how to get people, like how to teach people really.
Yeah,
It's one of those things where it's like if you know, you know. And
yeah,
at least for me, like doing my deep dive on the internet, like it's so hard to find English speaking resources.
mm.
It's about mahjong and especially about starting a club. So what would some advice be to a beginner to starting their own club if they want to, and how did you go about starting the new one?
So in both in London and Toronto, we were like really lucky. In London, we started at a community center where they had all the equipment and obviously a space already. And we were people who knew how to play already, so we could kind of like sit down and try and figure a way to best teach mahjong. In Toronto, what happened was I found a post for a mahjong event. It was just like a one-off, and I messaged the person who posted it, be like, "Hey, I just moved here, but I used to help uh, run a club in the UK, and I was thinking of doing something similar in Toronto." And she was like, "Oh, I actually don't live in Toronto anymore, but I'll connect you with these people who I helped do the pop-up with, and then you guys can go from there." And that's how I met my like co-runner Hanya, and they had mahjong gatherings and clubs and stuff pre-COVID in like 2019, and they were doing it for a while, and then like kind of they couldn't pick it up post-COVID just because of a lot of things like capacity and and space issues and whatever. And basically, I went to them like, "Hey, I want to run a mahjong club. Do you want to do this with me?" And they were like, "Oh, amazing! I want to run a mahjong club, and I have all the sets and all the tables and the space. I just don't have any time or capacity to do it." And I was like, "Okay, amazing!" Because I have nothing, but I have capacity and time. Because I freshly moved to a new country, so I don't really have much to do. So that was that. That was kind of how we like met, and it was like a perfect pairing. And then that June, I think, is when we kind of first started the club. And it was slapdash, and it was really like on the run because it was from the beginning, and we thought it would be like a more gradual, popularity spike. But it kind of like from the first session we had like 8 tables plus people waiting,
Wow.
and we were like, oh shit, this is like really popular. So come 2025 this year in January, while we were on a break, because we only did it from June to October, because we were like, oh, this is like, can I swear on this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was like June to October, and we were like, fuck me, this is like too busy, man. Like we are fucking knackered. It's only October, and like I can't even think about doing it in winter months. When it's colder and darker and harder to come out of your house, especially in Canada. So we took a break from October, and we came back again in the new year. And in January, we sat down and had a meeting, two of us being like, we need to structure this because of how much it grew and how popular in general, like online and amongst diaspora in North America and around the world generally, mahjong is getting. It's gotta be ridiculously popular. So we came up with a plan. We divided, responsibilities, and we officiated like other facilitators and other people on our admin team. And it's been crazy, and it's still been tiring because the amount of output that we've like exceeded this year. But it's been good because that structure helped out a lot, And when we were planning it, we were like, is this a ridiculous thing to do? Like, we're kind of prepping for nothing at the moment. But I'm gonna tell you something. Thank fuck we did that, because like we did that and we were so prepared, and we got more prepared throughout the year. But fuck me, I'm so tired as hell, man. Like it's coming up to last month, and I'm like really glad that it's ending. Not because I want it done, but because like I need a break. Like I need to go a week without logging 10 sets upstairs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I would say, so
People
my
don't
advice is
understand.
my advice is like prep, like always have more people to help you than you think you need, if you can. And also, like, it's a volunteer thing. It's not a job. It's no one's job. If it's a bit rough around the edges, it's fine. You don't need to be so shiny about it. What you want to do, what I think you should keep in mind, is that you're just creating a space for people. So it should just be inviting and welcoming and accessible. Don't and make it your own thing. Don't be so hard on yourself if you have more people than tables or whatever. Like people are more forgiving than you realize, and if they're not, then I don't know. Don't Why do you want that in your community?
Yeah. Don't take it personally.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, that feels I connect and relate a lot just of the feeling of having to lug all this equipment
Yeah,
all around and like having people just like helping and volunteering and just I literally could not do it without the
yeah,
help of the amazing volunteers and the people who come out and help and the community members who just even just like come and sit down and play multiple games in a night. Like it really is about the people, and that's I think that's something really beautiful about mahjong and the fact that it's just inherently social. That you need at least four people to play. Is
yeah.
that what is the saying like two's a crowd or something like that?
Um, yeah. Two's a crowd, three's a party, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Two's a
And that's
crowd, three's
exactly
a
how it feels
party,
like.
four's a mahjong table.
Yes, it is.
I guess okay. So I guess you would agree with this, and I know you would because we've talked about this amongst our peers. I guess amongst the mahjong organizing community. If you want to start a mahjong club because you want to play mahjong, you're not gonna play mahjong, mate. You're gonna not fucking touch another. You're not gonna play a whole Four Winds for like 2 years. You're barely gonna get through one wind a month. Like I'm telling you now, if you want to play more mahjong, don't start a club. Just find someone else to do it for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I started it. I think we all started it under the false pretense that we were gonna play so much and we are gonna have all these people.
Yeah,
And no, you're never gonna touch a mahjong set except for setting it up ever again.
yeah. You ain't shuffling for yourself ever again. You're shuffling for others. You're touching so many sets and never playing. It's so depressing.
It is. But at least one thing about being a teacher is that I do get a little bit of satisfaction whenever someone wins because I'm like, that's basically my win.
Yeah. Do you know what is the most satisfying around this time, especially? Like, I don't know if you're breaking the magic to your audience, but it is like it's late November, early December right now, and this is the most rewarding time, like December to January, because you will hear stories of people like going back to their families and being like, yeah, like I'm gonna go back and play mahjong, or coming back in the new year and be like, yeah, I went home for Christmas and I played mahjong with my grandparents, and this was like kind of like the first time I spent more than an hour with them, and that's always so rewarding because one of the top reasons why people come is like, oh, because I want to do something with my Asian parents or older grandparents. And I don't speak the same language very well, so our conversations are pretty, surface level. But there's something about playing the game with someone that you can connect, more than through just vocabulary.
Absolutely. Yeah, this whole journey of starting this Mahjong club on my end has been really rewarding in the fact that I have been able to connect with my family on a much deeper level because I have my sisters and my cousins and my uncles and my aunts. They all come together to help run these events and take photos and teach and because of this, I obviously have gotten a lot more into mahjong, and so whenever I do have a chance to play, I always really enjoy it. And like the person who taught me how to play was my great grandmother, and I remember after this going to where she lived and playing the last game that I ever played with my great grandmother before she died, rest in peace. Like I remember that, and it hits a lot more to me because of just like now I feel like I get to carry her love because
Yeah,
she lived until she was 98 years old, and she probably played mahjong every single day for the last 5 decades,
yeah,
and being able to feel like I'm carrying on her legacy really is special.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that because it's so, it's a game from the 18th century, and it's so worldwide. It's got so many versions around Asia, but amongst those regional variants, there are also like house variants. Like people play it differently. People, they pick and choose what rules they want to play and how they count the point system, and it really becomes like molded by whoever taught you. So it is really a thing that mahjong is in itself is like an oral tradition. It's something that you can carry on, and something that can be kind of inherited that's not physical. Like a recipe for like your favorite dish, or like a holiday tradition. Mahjong is one of them. I think that's why people like it a lot, because it's just it's something that you don't need common language. I've played with people who don't speak English very well. They can say pong, and they can say chow or sheng, and they can say fuck you. Like that's just, those are the few things that you need to know. Also, my Cantonese is like the most fluent at a mahjong table because it's just all rude words. you know?
That's amazing. Yeah, it is really fun how it brings people together, and that it's getting bigger. It becomes more of a global game, especially from my cultural perspective, because I'm half Ecuadorian, half Chinese. So I was raised here in Florida.
Hmm.
So like I get to it feels really cool, like being in the center of that like three circle Venn diagram and bringing together all these different parts of like my own personal culture and my personality and my life, and bring them all around this game that is traditionally Chinese,
Yeah,
but everyone gets to enjoy it and everyone has fun. And
yeah,
even if you don't come to play, or you just come to hang out, like it's still, we're gathering, and that's what's
yeah,
really special about it.
yeah. It's that third space, especially because all of these clubs are in like major cities with like big diaspora populations. It's hard to do stuff in cities that aren't really expensive or feel kind of intimidating, because you have to be a certain like type of cool or a certain type of hipster or whatever. Like you have to be a certain crowd. But mahjong, it's intergenerational, it's interconnecting. Like you can be anyone and you can come play, and it's really accessible as long as you have the gear. You know,
Yeah.
it might not be accessible to start a club, but once you start it, you'll see people come in, because you also need people. Like if you want to play and you're on your own, then what the fuck are you doing? You're playing online. That's not as fun. Like those automatic tables that you see on Instagram, yeah, they're cool, but I really enjoy shuffling. I really enjoy like touching all the tiles and pushing it and like laughing and whatever while we do that.
Yeah, it's really a great time, and it really does bring people together. And also, speaking of interconnectedness, the just some background for the people who are listening, that I got connected with Connor. He reached out to me in preparation for this event that was hosted earlier this year, Mooncakes and Mahjong. So this was first, I want to say thank you so much for reaching out to me to be a part of that, because not only was it very successful on my end, and it seemed to be very successful for the other
Yeah.
clubs and people who were involved. It was the first time that I had been kind of recognized for doing anything mahjong related at all, and it just felt very special, like, oh, like something that I'm doing here is working, something that I'm doing is making a difference.
It's like, oh, I'm
And
being noticed.
yeah, and it's like, maybe it's a little selfish, but it feels good to be noticed. And I know that this was not only Mooncakes and Mahjong, but also this Tile Exchange Discord server with all these other event coordinators. We can talk about that in a little bit, but I know that this was a passion project of yours. What made you do this?
I mean, I think it's similar to why I'm talking to you now. It's the fact that starting a mahjong social club is such a niche thing. Like, it's a weird thing that has no advice, and a lot of us kind of found our feet on our own doing it. But when you like look online and you see, some of the bigger clubs get picked up by news articles, you're like, oh, there are other clubs like us in other cities. And then I don't know, it was like just after Lunar New Year, I was thinking there must be like, I wonder how many clubs there are. And the fact that we know we each exist, but we don't know each other, it's crazy. So I started looking into it. I started collecting names and contacts, and I realized like, oh, there's actually like a decent amount. I feel like we should have a space, to connect with each other, complain, share tips, make jokes, that only we get. And that's how the Discord server that like was born, and a directory that's for the public to like kind of look in their city if there's a mahjong club. Because I would always get, especially in the summer, someone would come up to me and be like, "Oh, Connor, I'm going to so and so. I'm going to like Spain, or I'm going to like Vietnam. Is there like a club like this? Or I'm going to the States. Is there a club like this I can join? Because I don't want to, miss out on 2 weeks of mahjong." And I'm like, I have no idea. I think this club exists there, but I'm not sure. So this is kind of also for me. So if anyone asks me that in the future, I can be like, "Oh yeah, there's a thing in our link tree that you can just go to." But yeah, it's basically a space for space organizers, more or less, the Discord. And I want to know how it felt, or like when you found out this type of thing existed, like what it was like for you.
Man, it was actually really revolutionary because, like you were saying, that there's so many of us. When you put them all together in one space, you're like, wow, there's actually a lot of us because, like you said, it is really niche. Like I don't think that there's another person in within 150 miles of me, at least, who is like, you know what? I also want to start a mahjong social club.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't exist. So it did feel really inviting, very homey to be able to like be in this space, even if it is just online, and know that these people exist. And especially like I try my best to be active in there and ask questions, say stuff to people, and even like this, like I just went through people who have been messaging inside the general chat recently and send them all messages like, "Hey, I want to start a podcast. Would you want to come on and talk?" And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because like Four Winds in London, even in Toronto and Green Tile and like Mahjong Mistress, like we are all pretty big now, and some of the smaller clubs, they're going through the earlier stages which we've already been through, and like that shit is rough to deal with when you don't know what you're doing. So it was really to, why not share knowledge, because we all have very similar values. It's all just connecting people and creating, very warm and welcoming spaces. And I think it's been helpful because a lot of the smaller clubs, like Red Dragon in the Netherlands, they would ask like, how would you deal with, you know, more people than you have tables, and even us, even like we asked that because we had an event at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival building, for the New Year, and we had so many people, and and after that event, we were like, how the hell do we deal with that many people? Because we had 150 people in like 2 hours,
Wow.
and it was kind of crazy. Like, luckily we did it, but it was a lot of people management. And I just went into the Discord and asked, how do you guys deal with big capacities? And Ernie from Green Tile, like, God, God bless their soul, because they were like, oh, we do a system called winner stays on, where when a table plays one hand, the winner stays, and 3 people get up. And since then, every time we have more people than tables, we just like initiate that, and our community get used to it. And it's a really good way to have a self-organizing system that you don't have to keep track of too much. So yeah, even for me, it's been super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping the winners on is something that is mandatory if you have too many players
Yeah.
to table ratio. I just did an event recently here. These wonderful people over in Gainesville called How Bizarre. They have been doing a Florida night market tour. And so they've been going to different cities, doing markets. They did one here in Tampa recently, and they reached out to me to be a part of it. And there was probably 1,000 people who came into the market throughout the night. And I don't know how many people came in to play mahjong, but a good portion of them. And at some point, that's pretty much what just needed to happen. And
Yeah.
at some point, it got so big too. I was like, even if you do win, we're just rotating the entire table, because a lot of people come in with friends, like 2 or 3, and they'll sit
Yeah.
down and play. And as you know, even if the winner stays on, most of the time, like if they're just coming to have a good time and hang out with their friends, they don't want to stay on a table and all their friends rotate off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it ended up being it ended up working out anyway. But that was such a helpful tip. I'm glad that you asked that question because I did benefit from that answer as well.
I think a lot of us use that now. So like, big up Green Tile for putting it in there. But it's a nice community because everyone wants to help each other, and through that, it was a few months. Is when after uh, the summer, I was like, I should try and get this big collaboration because that was the initial idea. Like, I made all of this stuff because I wanted to do some sort of cross club collaboration thing, and that's how we ended up at Mooncakes Mahjong, and it was great. It was everyone seemed to have fun. It was a great success. So probably do it again sometime.
Yeah, I hope so because it really was fun. Just to feel connected to everyone, even if we weren't
Yeah,
together physically, it did feel really great. And the event that ended up happening, at least on my end, was a really nice, fun, intimate event that was kind of put together last second because our venue that we were going to do it at first, it got rained out, so we had to go and scramble and find another one. It was a whole thing, but it was still really successful in the end of it, anyways, which is really nice.
yeah. I mean, I tell you what though, organizing like 30 something clubs across the world, like 24 different time zones. That shit was a fucking nightmare. Like everyone was amazing and everyone answered me. I didn't get aired by anyone. Like it was really nice, but fucking hell, it was. But we ended up pulling it off, so I'm happy.
Yeah, all praises to you because you really made it happen. Okay, but now speaking of, now that you've had such intimate contact with all these different clubs from around the world of varying sizes,
Yeah.
right? I feel like there's a line that people fall on, and either they're taking this mahjong stuff very seriously and it's pretty much a full-time business, and then there's people on the other end of the spectrum who are just doing this for fun. They're just gathering friends together. Where would you say you are on that spectrum?
I mean, it's not a viable like monetary supply for me, but it is serious because it's so much of my like life pie, which is really really depressing because it's so much work and not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um, but it's yeah, I guess it is serious because it's just kind of a thing that I keep falling into, even if I don't necessarily look out for it. I end up being like, oh, I guess I'll just do mahjong stuff, or I guess I'll put a mahjong table here or there. So I would say pretty serious. We are trying to build up the team so me and Hanya can kind of take more time off, but that comes with time, obviously, because you have to establish systems and whatnot. But I would say, even if I stop running clubs, it will still probably be a big part of my life because I made like so many friends and met so many people through the game. It will never be like not a little icon. If I was like a video game character and it has like little icons of my personality, I fear Mahjong Tile will be there for a long time.
Yeah, at this point, I think we're too far deep. Uh, we just do it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And even if
Even
it,
even though we don't fucking play, we still do
yeah,
it.
and even if we stop doing clubs and we just end up just playing with friends and family and whatnot, I can confidently say that I'm probably going to do something mahjong related for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
and I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that ending.
I mean, I would like to kind of, get rid of the negative content because if you talk to an older generation about what we do, there's a lot of side eye. There's a lot of like screwed faces because there's a negative connotation with mahjong, to do with gambling and to do with gambling addiction. And because I remember once helping my friend do a mahjong pop up in a mall here in Toronto, and a little kid came up and was shuffling tiles. I'm like, "Oh, do you know how to play? Do you want me to teach you?" And I've never seen a kid get dragged away so fast by his father. It was like a Looney Tunes character, you know. There was like a cloud, a cloud puff of smoke in the shape of that child left behind at the table. And obviously, because you know there is a bad connotation amongst people to do with mahjong, but I think a lot of the social clubs kind of changing that, which is nice. There's a lot of nice airtime, you know. Green Tile got interviewed by like Good Morning America or something, and
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Wong, who wrote the Mahjong book, amazing book, she has been on like this massive press tour for last year, and it's well deserved because her book is not just about Mahjong as a game, but it kind of represents us as a community in terms of building spaces and it not being competitive and it kind of carrying tradition through generations. It's an amazing book if you want to, you know, learn more about kind of the vibe that we all do this for.
Absolutely. It really is a good book. And very well deserved to Green Tile Social Club and Nicole Wong for all the good press that they've been giving Mahjong in
Yeah.
this new generation. I think they're really great spokespeople for what we're doing, and I'm really happy that they're getting the word out there in the way that they are.
Yeah, those guys and Angie QQ on Instagram, she's amazing. She's like there's like 6, 7 mahjong clubs in LA or in like California in general, and Angie kind of knows them more. Like, you know, the mahjong dialogue of California, I would say.
Yeah, they're really popping over there and
Hmm.
in New York.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Those are definitely the hubs of mahjong in the states. If anyone is looking for mahjong, that now you know where to go.
Yeah, but you know, if you want to, if you live in a small town in the middle of America, you might have a mahjong. Like, there's one in Richmond. There's one. I think there's one in Milwaukee as well. I don't know. Look at the directory. I can't. There's like 50, 60 clubs on
Yeah,
that directory,
I
man.
will
It's
link the
endless.
directory in the description of this episode for sure, and the links to all the people that we've mentioned as well. Um, Past that, let's see. You know, there's a lot of unglamorous stuff that you've talked about for just the behind the scenes of running a
Yeah,
mahjong club.
you got to be
But
fit. Like, you got to like don't throw your back out.
yeah, do not throw your back
Yeah,
out.
learn how to lift.
Get a dolly.
Get a dolly. Learn how to lift shit. I think you know, like London, New York, Toronto. It's not a car-friendly city. Like, I have probably carted more equipment than I have driven across. You know, so it is. It is. You know, you gotta have some level of fitness to do it.
Absolutely. So can you run us through what are you doing 48 hours before an event? What are you doing to lead up to it?
Well, it's funny that you say that, Jacob, because I am currently like T minus 20 hours or something until my next event,
Perfect.
until our last big event of the year, even. Um, 48 hours, we're just kind of making sure we have like the packing list, confirmed all the facilitators, and everyone knows the plan and what to do. The day before, we're sending out reminders, so you know, attendees, if it's a ticketed thing, uh, updating socials, making sure everyone knows where it is and when it is, and you know, just kind of making sure everything's set. The earlier you can kind of set all your shit down, it'll be a much smoother event, and giving yourself time to get there to pack and stuff. It's it's never wasted time if you go early and you have to wait around. Like, if you set up and you have to wait for half an hour, you'll be so thankful for the half an hour because you can eat, you can chill out before you then have to, you know, put on your customer service voice and talk for like 4 hours or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. And what do you think is the most annoying logistical problem that you've solved through your experience now?
So in London and in Toronto, we're lucky because we have an abundance of mahjong tables, like actual tables, and those things aren't heavy because I think the sets are like more heavier when accumulated. The tables are just kind of cumbersome because they've got a wide footprint and they fold down, but they like flap about. so it's kind of hard to transport. Those things are a pain in the ass, and I think it was sometime in the spring we were doing a it was like an in-office type event for a company, and there was only two tables, and we were thinking, do we want to lug these two tables like across the city for this event? And then we realized, oh, let's just buy mats. So even though a lot of the other clubs use mats on top tables, because we had all these tables, we thought, why would we do that? I am so thankful of these like mahjong mats that they exist, because a mahjong set is a mahjong set. You can't play that without it. So you just kind of deal with the weight. Get a dolly, get a cart, get someone who can drive, whatever. But a mat could save you so much like time and effort, and the weird shape of a mahjong table. Even though it's not heavy, you can pull something just because you have to stretch your arms like out wide or whatever. So that was my most revelationary thing, was to switch from full size tables to mahjong mats.
And I understand the hesitancy, especially if you already have the tables, like
Yeah,
the tables, especially the card tables with the lip, just
yeah.
make the experience so much better. Like
The
you
tables are
want to
nice.
use them.
Yeah, I would never choose a mat over a table, but when you're doing, because I think this year we've done at least 7 mahjong events per month. Like we do 4 weekly club events, and then we do pop-ups and collabs and whatever. Lugging tables around like twice a week, it's a lot, So think of ways to kind of minimize not your effort but your energy expense, because not only do you have to do all of that stuff, you then have to teach, and teaching is tiring. It's just talking, yes, but you're repeating the same thing. You're concentrating on people. You have to temperature check every single person that walks through that door. It's a lot of mental energy that you need to save. That if you can save anything on the physical side, it will go into that, and you become a better host because of it.
Absolutely. And speaking of teaching, now how many people roughly do you think you've taught how to play mahjong at this point?
Oh, mate, I don't know. Okay, honestly, I don't teach that much anymore, because like we have an amazing team of facilitators. I can host now, which is like checking people at the door, send them to
Yeah.
the right teacher, send them to the right table. Because teaching is, I mean, I've got it down to like I can teach you how to play Mahjong in like 15 minutes. If I have the sheet, like I'm good with that. But it's like you get knackered after, and your voice goes, and you don't want to socialize after, because I've been talking for the last like 4 hours straight. But I think a lot of people, like, it must be in the hundreds, probably over 200. Like a lot of people over, what is it, 4 years of doing this. It's definitely easily over 250, probably.
And what, like you said, you kind of have it down to a science now. You could probably do it with
Yeah.
your eyes closed in your sleep. What are some of the teaching tips that you have found that have like really been able to click with beginners the best?
Well, so mahjong is a very, when explaining it on paper, it's like very wordy and there's a lot going on. So I really try and minimize the information I'm throwing at people. I say mahjong is a tabletop game where you have to make 4 sets of 3 in a pair. This is Hong Kong style, because Taiwanese
Yeah.
style has more tiles, whatever. And then I say you make 4 sets of 3 in a pair. When you take one tile, you always have to give one out. It's a one in, one out system, and in your hand you have 13 tiles, with the winning one being your 14th. And then as I explain that, I then just get them to like build the wall, and then we play an open hand game. I think open hand rounds are pretty good if you want to go quickly, because people can kind of understand, and you say, you explain the sets 3, you explain what pong is, you explain what sewing is, and you kind of let people do it themselves as they go along. Ask, do you need this? Do you need that? Be really intentional with it. And then once they play one open hand round, they can usually play a closed hand round, because they understand like the system. Because mahjong isn't complicated, because it's very natural how it flows and how each rule, it makes sense to the game. But when you just throw in words at people, it makes no fucking sense. You know, like you really need to have it in front of you to understand what it all means.
Absolutely. Yeah, I say that to every single person who wants to play or is interested in play, that I can explain to you how to play all day, but at some point it just goes in one ear and out the other. It's really one of those games that it's a trial by fire and you really have to sit down and play for it to really click.
Yeah, it's a hands-on teaching experience for sure.
Yeah. I think people enjoy that because, everyone wants the quick instant gratification, and it's just mahjong isn't one of those, but it can be. You just sit down and you play, and it clicks. It starts being natural for people, and I've found it to be really fun just seeing stuff like that click for people.
Yeah, and people get hooked really quickly. You know, they play a few
They
hands and they want to play more. They want to get better.
they do. And so, how would you advise someone if they ask Connor, I want to get better. Like I know, I've played a couple games. I know Pong. I know Chow. I know when to call my winning tile, but I want to get better. What is like one tip, one skill that you can teach me to move to the next level?
So how I teach mahjong is kind of in layers. Like the first layer is just gameplay and understanding how to play, and then once they get that, fine. I then move on to like teaching them points and how the point system works, and that's really how you get better. Because the gameplay system also, if they know how to make a set, that's great. But then you teach them when not to throw out and when not to rely on a certain pong or song that they're trying to make by looking at the table. Because that's a thing that it really goes over a lot of people's heads, and the reason why wins come so quickly in more beginner tables because they're throwing out anything that they don't need. They're not having a look at seeing what other people might need. And then from there, you go to points and you show them a point sheet and be like, so if you have these when you win, then you get this amount of points and stuff. And then you just start off simple like 1 point minimum. You have to have 1 point in your hand to win, and you just move up the points. And then once they know how to play points and know how to look at the table and know how to make a set, you then teach how to play defensive, which is kind of giving up your hand in the entirety of the game if it's worth more to not let anyone win than win yourself type thing. So I would say like teaching layers, because it's a lot easier than because I've seen people teach. Look, anyone can learn how to teach mahjong. Not everyone is initially great at it because I've seen people teach like 13 orphans to beginners, like people who've never touched mahjong. I'm like, what are you doing? This is not. This is you're just gonna fuck them up and they're not gonna come back because it's like too complicated.
Yeah. 13 orphans right off the bat is hilarious. I mean, I understand like showing people like, oh yeah, these are the high scoring hands because it's like, ooh, shiny.
Yeah,
But leave that to the professionals.
yeah,
I
like
personally have never even gotten a 13 orphans or anywhere close to one before, so
Oh, I have terrible luck. I've never gotten like any of the special hands. I've coasted my way through my wins with like just nice like all one suit. That's it. That's the highest thing I've ever gotten probably. But yeah, just kind of you know don't don't throw information at people. And if you want to get better, learn how to play, learn how to look at the table. I think that's more important than learning points because points is just memorizing sets, but
yeah,
learning how to look at what's on the table and kind of figuring that out that takes practice.
absolutely. You really have to be watchful and
Yeah.
astute on what's happening, and it can get very deep, but that's a topic for another day. Anyway, Connor, we are heading towards the end here, and thank you so much for your time and all of your knowledge that you've bestowed upon us today. Is there anything that you would want to tell new players or people who are like, I know how to play and I want to start a club? What just give them a little bit of word of wisdom?
Um, if you want to start a club, if you see a Four Winds post, or if you see Green Towel on the news, or if you see Mahjong mistresses in a write up, and you think, oh, that's fun. I would like to start a club, but that looks very daunting. We didn't start like that. Like we started with when we first started in One London. I remember the first time we had 4 tables full of people, and we were so happy. We were like, damn, we got 4 tables full. Yeah, we were really getting up there. And now we're like in Toronto, I'm like 16 tables a week, and it's like 60, 70 people a week. I'm like, fucking hell. When I get 50 people in a week, I'm like, it's a quiet week. It was nice. So it doesn't have to be, crazy. It can just be a few friends, and you just call up another table, and you just, go to a cafe, go to a community center. It doesn't have to be flashbang from the start.
Yeah.
And if you want advice, everyone who like is a founder of those clubs are really friendly, and we'll more than happy to help you along or give you tips or whatever. If you want to start to play mahjong, just go to a club. There's like so many. There's so many. Everyone's lovely. People who say I don't want to go and embarrass myself because I don't want to play. These are what these clubs are. We're here to teach. So come play. It's fine. I have seen it all. You will not surprise me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've definitely heard that a lot from people who are like, "Oh, can you send me some resource or something because I want to like
Yeah,
come prepared because I really have never seen or played this before." And I'm
yeah,
like, "Yes, I can, but the best resource is going to be coming to the next event and just sitting down and learning how to play at a table." And that's my advice to anyone who wants to play, anyone who wants to learn how to play. But if you know how to play and you want to start your own club, I mean, it doesn't have to be a whole public club to begin with.
yeah,
Because personally, like me, how mine started was I really got the bug and I wanted to, play with more people. And so I just taught my friends how to play. And we just got together every week just in my friend's apartment, just inviting friends over. So it wasn't anything that I ever thought was going to be like, oh, I'm going to start Red Eye Mahjong and we're going to have all these public events. It never started like that. I did a year of teaching people just in my friend's apartment every week before I ever decided to go public with it. And the only reason why I did decide to go public is because it was just getting too big. Like it was really not sustainable to keep inviting 30 people to my friend's apartment, just 30
yeah.
random strangers to my friend's apartment. Like that's just not cool. At
I
some point,
mean,
it's just too much.
that's very reminiscent of a lot of other clubs. I think in Vancouver they do that too. In Seattle, and it's when I started in London, we didn't even have a name for the first 6 months. It was just like the Mahjong Club. It wasn't anything crazy. We were just kind of facilitating this space for people to come. And at the end of the day, you got to remember, it's communal. We're not a corporate entity. Like no one is doing this for profit. So it's fine if it's taped together with duct tape and string. It's as long as you have a table and some tiles and 3 other people to play with, I think it'll be fine. You will from that you can create a nice space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. It's the love of the game. Anyway, thank you so much, Connor, for
Thank
coming
you.
on. You are an amazing pillar in this community.
Oh, please don't fucking say that.
I genuinely could not have done this or like even have the courage to start the whole Mahjong Club if it wasn't for like your work and the work of so many other people in the community that you've gathered. So I just want to say thank you so much for all of your hard work and your passion and your love for the game. The Discord server is an absolute gem of a resource. The directory is an absolute gem of a resource. The Mooncakes and Mahjong event was something that was so crazy and audacious that I can't even still to this moment believe that it happened. And I hope that we can do this again. And yeah, I'm just excited to continue watching and supporting you from my side of the world. And
Oh god, that's like the British and Chinese, and he's like crawling out my skin. Like I hate this. Don't compliment me. Like, what are you doing? Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, shit. But thank you. I mean, I think I mean, I would like I, as much as I only kind of said hi to everyone, but if it wasn't for all you lot, it wouldn't be a community. Because if all of you not told me to fuck off, then I would just be on my own on the Discord server, replying gifts to my own questions or something. So it was people like Angie and Nicole and Sarah from Greentel who I connected with first, pitched them this idea, and they were like, "Yeah, you should do it." So I've only done this because of the confidence and the cheerleaders everyone else told me to. So yeah, I'll thank you, Jacob. Actually, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Connor. Anyone you want to shout out before we wrap up here?
I don't know, man. I think just look on Dirty, support your local mahjong club. We all need help. If you want to volunteer. I'm sure they'll be happy to have you. And the next thing I'm working towards is IRL mahjong organizer meetup.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
would be awesome.
if any big corporations want to sponsor a really wholesome international communal event, hit me up so I can fly everyone out to the same place.
Please, please hit them up. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, Connor, for coming on. I really appreciate you. And yeah, this was great.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.